righty. So let's come to find a comfortable seated upright posture. For me, that means employing the use of my block or blocks. And I love sitting on the edge of my block with both sit bones supported. Good. So finding a way to sit that feels best for you. It might not be the way I'm sitting today. Okay. Let me just sit on the edge of your block. And you might use 2 blocks, right? Feel free to type any issues you might have into the chat today. You might have technical issues. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall, you can feel that block underneath the sit bones, or maybe you're sitting on the earth. Yeah, 2 blocks is good, especially if you struggle with knee issues. Create a little throne for yourself. And beginning to center here, bringing whatever state of mind, state of body that you're into the mat. Through the practice of yoga, we will transform that energy and that state of being. So starting now, just by noticing the spine, maybe letting the shoulders rinse down away from the head. Right, maybe you could loosen the jaw a little bit. And just begin to bring some awareness to the sensation of your breathing. Breathing in, feeling the breath coming in through the nose, out through the nose or mouth. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose or mouth. As we come to our seated posture, centering with a few more breaths here as you notice just whatever state of being you're in the body, in the mind, starting to anchor ourselves to the breath. If this feels really good and you want to just stay here breathing, centering, you can continue that. Or perhaps you'd like to join me in a few rounds of bee's breath, Brahmari pranayama. Bee's breath is just the creation of like a drone bee-like sound on the exhalation, like that. And then you're going to inhale through the nose. When you make that humming sound, the lips will be sealed. When we do this bee's breath practice, that can be very useful for creating almost like a vibration that the whole body can feel. And it's very calming, very soothing, and also can help support the immune system by this dispersal of a beneficial gas called nitric oxide, which oscillates at a higher rate when you hum. And then when you inhale through the nose, it disperses that beneficial antibacterial gas through the body. So let's try some bees breaths together. I would like to see if we could do 10 bees breaths in a row. And you can do this at whatever pace feels right for you. And if you need to shift the body in any way, you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to bring a hand onto my heart, a hand onto my belly. And this way I'll really be able to feel the sounds in my body. Taking a breath in. Inhaling through the nose. Smooth breath in. Halfway there. Last one. Taking a few regular breaths, allowing that sounds, that vibration to resonate through the body, through the mind. Inhaling, exhaling. Maybe bringing some gentle movements to the head and neck. And we'll move a little bit more with the neck in a moment, but just some circular movements to the head or neck could feel good. Maybe back the other direction. That's good. Maybe I'll roll the shoulders up, back, and down a few times. Good. And then let's come up to balance on the knees for a moment. If you have tender knees, you might decide you'd like to pad up. You could roll the mat, kind of support the knees a little bit. And then I'm going to place my 2 blocks right between my feet. Okay, we did this last week, just a really gentle back bends and twist, a camel, modified camel pose. So I've got the blocks between my feet. My knees and my hips are in line, right? So walk your knees in there, Ted. Good. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of notice my pelvis, bring a little motion into my pelvis and find what feels nice and stable for me. Then I'm going to twist a little bit to the right, take a peek back, see if I can reach back there and set my fingertips on top of my blocks. I'll bring my left hands onto my heart. Now I'm just going to breathe into this hand here, see if I can lift my heart into my hands, right? Make any modification so you feel safe here. I might stretch my left arm up towards the sky. That would feel good. Right? I'm taking a peek down at that block, and then I might shift my gaze up, totally up to you where you want to gaze today. If you're feeling like you need grounding today, you could keep the gaze down. If you're feeling pretty stable in your energy, you could look up. And then we'll slowly come back to center, rinse out the pelvis a little bit, and switch sides. So I'm going to twist to my left side, take a peek down, reach down with my fingertips, and then bring my right hand onto my heart. Bringing that right hand on the heart, and you're squeezing that block, right? The butt muscles are working, the abdominal muscles are working, and you're inhaling into your hand, and then maybe stretching the arm up, maybe lifting the gaze. See how that feels for you. I feel like my legs are working pretty hard here. Good, and then we'll come back up, and you can release the blocks in front. In fact, let's just take the blocks into the hands in front, and I'm going to slowly bring my right knee forward and my left knee back. It's coming into a little lungey, stretchy thing that I really love these days. So I've got my blocks right underneath my shoulders, and I'm going to take a slow peek over my right shoulder. A slow peek over my right shoulder in this kind of lungey, stretchy thing. The blocks help me get up a little higher because I have short arms. You might not need the blocks. Good, guys. We'll come back up. I'm going to shift my left knee forward, drag my right knee back. Right? If you have sensitive feet and you start to cramp up here, you could tuck the toe back, toe under. I'm going to take a peek over my left shoulder, Breath in, breath out. Good, releasing back to center. Let's go ahead and come onto hands and knees. Maybe you like the blocks. Maybe you want to get rid of the blocks. Right, so coming onto hands and knees and just noticing that connection your hands have with the earth. Got another one coming in here. Come into your tabletop pose. Right, coming to tabletop pose. Strong through the hands, pressing through the tops of the feet. And we'll begin to move the spine. No better way to change your energy than moving the spine. Sink the belly, lift the heart and head, arching the back. And then we'll round the back, pushing into the hands, tucking the chin. Inhaling to arch the back. And exhaling to round the back. You move at whatever pace feels right for you. And just taking care if you have the severe osteoporosis, you're not going to round the back too aggressively. But it does feel good to kind of stretch this way. We'll take one more round. Good. Coming back to neutral, I'm going to tuck my toes under and sit back onto my toes. Now you will be your own best teacher here if this feels like too much. Maybe it feels like you could even sit on the toes for a moment. Breath in, I might roll the wrists a few times. Maybe you stay leaning forward, right? If it's too much on the feet. Good, and then we're going to shake the hands out, come back to hands and knees. I'll stretch my right leg long. Keep the toe on the ground to start. We're going to rock forward, rock back just a little bit. And then you'll lift that right leg up. Lifting that right leg up with the toe pointing down, maybe even towards the midline of the body. If it felt okay, you could lift the left arm straight out. So you got opposite arm, opposite leg. If you're tender in the wrists, you can use a block in the hand. Switching sides. Left leg long, toe on the ground to start. You might rock forward, you might rock back, lift that left leg up, lift the right arm out. See how that feels for you. Find your stability. Good, and then we're going to switch sides. Let's move back and forth. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, ground down. You can go as slowly or as quickly as you like, of course. Breathing in, extending, breathing out, and resetting. Pull that belly up and in. Just explore what the body can do this morning. Maybe we have a little fun with it. You might like to add a crunch to this. Opposite elbow to opposite knee and re-extending. Breathing in. Opposite knee, opposite elbow, re-extending and switching. Let's take one more on each side. That looks really good, guys. Keeping that breath moving. All right, and coming to a child's pose, really brief child's pose. I'm going to bring some space between my knees. Sit back towards my heels. If I have a bolster or pillow, I could slide that underneath my torso. Maybe my forehead comes down onto the earth, or I rest a cheek on the bolster. Just letting go for a moment. I'm imagining that your mind is like an Etch-a-Sketch, and you could just shake that Etch-a-Sketch and have a nice, clear, clean slate. Very good. And slowly walking yourself back up. Resetting to your strong tabletop. Gripping the mat with the hands. I'm going to tuck my toes under, come to downward facing dog. I'll keep my knees bent to start and try to just bring my hips way back. And I might pedal out one foot at a time. But if this feels like too much for you today, you could use a chair or wall. Please take good care of yourself. Find the breath.
Find space between the shoulder blades, sinking the heels towards the earth. Good, and then we'll come forward to a high plank, shoulders over the wrists. Shoulders over the wrists. Let's just take one big breath here. Be really strong. Those hips come down. Good, and then we'll slowly bring the knees down, sink all the way to the belly. And we're going to build our baby cobra pose here. So let's bring the hands in line with the shoulders, the palms pressing into the earth, hugging the elbows in towards the body. The forehead rests. Lift up those kneecaps, a nice strong cobra tail. And then we're going to inhale and lift the head, right, keeping the chin tucked, pulling the shoulders together, getting a little higher, maybe every breath. Good. And then when you're ready, come down, rest a cheek on the mat. Bring the arms down at the sides with the palms facing up. And you could bring the toes to point out towards the edges of the mat. Big breath in. Maybe you sigh it out the mouth. And then getting ready to peel ourselves up and back. Come to tabletop, and then go ahead and balance on your knees for another moment. Balancing on the knees. Getting ready to transition to a standing posture. I'm going to step one foot forward. Doesn't matter which one. Maybe tucking the back toe under, and then slowly standing up and coming to my standing mountain pose. Standing mountain pose. You could walk it out a little bit. Maybe take a little opposite arm, opposite leg, contralateral cross crawl movement here. Find the breath. See what the body feels like doing today. That's good, Helena. Breathing in. You got it. We're really dancing in Colorado. Wonderful, guys. Taking one more on each side. The Judys. Going to form a little dance troupe there. Beautiful. Okay, so no, I'm not going to do that. Let's go here to your mountain pose and take a peek down at your toes. Take a peek down at your toes. Slowly bend the knees. And as you bend the knees, see where the knees go. See if you can track the knees so that they're bending and they're kind of covering up the third and the fourth toe. So they're in line with the third and the fourth toe. As you bend those knees and they obscure your toes. And then come on back up. Sinking down again, this time, right, with my knees tracking in alignment with those toes. I'm going to bring my hands outside my knees. Bring your hands outside your knees. Try to keep a nice flat back. And then I'm going to push my knees into my hands. Do you feel all that firing up? Yeah, it feels great, right? Breathing in, breathing out, holding here. You've got it, Leanne. Nice. And then reset. All right, so we're going to come down into our chair pose again. You don't have to use the hands, but you can remember what that felt like. It's like an isometric movement to push the feet away from each other and the knees away from each other without moving them. Lift the arms straight out in front. Right, so the knees are tracking in line with the toes. Shift the weight back into the heels. The hips are coming back so you can see me from the side here. Good, and then I'm going to inhale and straighten everything. You got it. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, sink down, chair pose, knees in line with the toes. Good, inhale, lift. Exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, sink down. Strong chair. You got it. Inhale, lift. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, side bend to the left. And this is the last one. As we inhale, center, we're going to hold our chair for 3 breaths, right? Engaging those glute muscles as you push the feet and the knees away from each other. Maybe the arms start to rise up a little higher. Maybe you bring the weight down into the heels and sink a little lower. Very good, guys. Inhale, straighten everything. Release the arms down. I'm going to take just like a loose hold of my hands here. And a loose hold of my hands, I'm going to start to rotate my hips, my little hip rotation dance, right? Lifting one leg up and over, kind of like I'm stepping over a hurdle. One leg up and over, keeping my breath moving. Right? You could go as slowly or as quickly as you like. Maybe that knee comes up a little higher. That's good now. You got it, Matthew, nice and slow. Right? If you like this and you want to stay doing this, you could do this a few minutes longer, not minutes, seconds. Or you could start to lift the opposite arm and make a movement with that opposite arm, whatever movement would feel good. Right? For me, I like kind of lifting this dramatic reveal of my personality, right? But you could find some other way to move the body. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Good. Really juicing up the hip joints. One more on each side. Good. And we'll reset to center. Resetting to neutral. I'm going to take my hands onto my hips. Step my right foot forward, left foot back at a little bit of an angle. Warrior 1. Right? In Warrior 1, I'm bending into my front knee. And I'm noticing what happens to my hips, kind of pulling the hips forward so they point to the top of the mat, but allowing that left hip the freedom if it needs it. Hooking the thumbs in front of the body. Inhale, lift, right? So that front knee is tracking in line with the toes. Lifting the arms up. That's good. Can you find the breath? 3 breaths. Maybe out of the mouth. That's good, Walt. Good. Bringing the hands down to the hips, just like we did last week. We're going to start to bring the weight into this right foot and pick up the left leg behind you. Just kind of flutter that left leg up behind you. Maybe it would feel okay to keep that leg lifted with a little bend to my right knee for strengthening, with the toe pointing down. Right? So now we're in a challenging balance pose. Maybe you want to do something with the hands, arms out to the sides. Last week, we imagined traveling to different places we would like to. Good, and slowly resetting. Nice, Judy S. Take a breath in, breath out. And then let's switch sides. Left foot forward, right foot back, slight angle, Warrior 1. We bend into this left knee. That back leg is straight and strong. You can feel all 4 corners of the feet. Good, and then hooking the thumbs, maybe the opposite one on top, lifting the arms. You're really tall through the fingertips, sinking down really low into your Warrior 1. Good, tracking that knee in line with the toes. And also, if the knee is far forward of the ankle, you could lengthen your stance. Breath in, breath out. Good, releasing the hands to the hips. I might hop my back foot forward a little bit, shorten my stance as I begin to pour the weight into my left foot and float this right leg up behind me. Maybe I make this more dynamic, right? If, those of us who are caring for our hips, we might want to stay in this more dynamic version rather than holding and putting all that pressure in the hip joint. Or maybe you're feeling it today and you want to take a trip with me somewhere warm. That's good. Toe pointing down. Big breath in. You got it, Goldens. Beautiful. Traveling somewhere together. And then we'll slowly make our way up and reset. Take a little walk to the back of your mat. Walking to the back of the mat. Any dance moves you want to show me on the way. And then we'll bring the feet together. You could take a sip of water anytime. We're going to bring the feet together. And then I'm going to step my right foot in front of my left with the heel and the toe touching. Here I am again on my imaginary balance beam, one of my favorite places to be. Heel to toe, a little bend to the knees. My weight might be forward a little bit, and I might take a slow blink of my eyes and see what just momentarily taking some of my vision away does. So finding my edge of balance. And then when you're ready, you could step that left foot in front of the right leg, heel to toe. We're taking a very slow walk to the top of the mat. Right? Noticing the weight in the feet, seeing if you can equalize the weight in the feet. And if you're feeling wobbly, that's okay. You could widen the stance a little bit if need be. Good. And when you get to the top of the mat, come bring your feet together. Stand up nice and tall. Mountain pose, reset your breath. All right. So I'm going to bring my arms out to the sides. And I'm going to try to root down through my feet, really strong through my legs. I'm going to take a twist to the right, and I'm going to use my torso, not my head. Use my torso, not my head, twisting to the right. Maybe when I get all the way to the end of my range of motion, I'll peek over that left shoulder and coming back to center. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the left. The whole torso working. Maybe that looking over that left shoulder, and then you'll come back to center. If you want, if it feels better, you can bring space between the feet and then moving towards the other side, twisting to the right, seeing how far you can go. Back to center, just exploring what feels good. Holding, breathing. Maybe we go a little faster. Breathing in, breathing out, torso twists. Moving that spine. All right, and one more on each side. Releasing to center. I'm going to bring the hands out. So give me a high five with both hands, high 10. Right, really pulling those fingers back towards the face. And then I'm going to flip my right hand down and grab onto my fingers. Bring a little bend to my elbow. Just stretching my wrist for a moment. Breathing into that. Good, you got it. And then scooping underneath. Drawing this right arm across the body, keeping the shoulder nice and low. And then I might bring my head towards drop my left ear towards my left shoulder. See how that would feel. Maybe it feels too much and you want to stay centered. Good, release, back to center. And then I'm going to give myself a hug. Lift the elbows up. Good, release the arms out to the sides. Give me another high 10. That left fingers pointing down. Grab onto the fingers, pull the fingers back a little bit, and then you're going to bend the elbow a little bit. Just breathing into this wrist stretch. Good. Scooping underneath, drawing that left arm across the body, shoulders nice and low. Just breathing into it. My left hand is sort of straight, but you could have a bend of the elbow if you need it. And then I'm going to tuck my right ear by my right shoulder. See how that would feel. Could try both sides. Good. And releasing, rolling the shoulders up, back and down. And then coming back to our mountain pose, taking the little bendy bounce to the knees. We're going to come into our Krishna Curtsy. Krishna Curtsy. Okay. So while weight will come into that right foot, I'm going to pick up my left leg and stamp it behind me, right? With the toe pressing into the earth. My knees are both a little bit bent and I'm kind of pulsing here. And then I'll inhale my arms out and up, grab onto my left wrist, take a little side bend to the right. And I might turn my gaze up, breathing into that left side body. Do you feel that stretch? Oh, it feels so good. Good. Releasing back to center, nice and slow. Little bendy bounce to the knees. Weight will come into that left foot. And then we'll stamp that right foot behind you. Like you mean it. Arms rising up, grabbing onto that right wrist. Little pulse in the knees if you like. Maybe you side bend a little bit to the left and lift the gaze. Strong through both feet. Good. Big breath in and releasing back to center. Okay, one more on each side. This time we're going to go a little faster. Weight in the right foot, step behind, grab onto the wrist. Back to center. Weight in the left foot, stamp the right foot behind, grab the wrist. Good. Release back to center. We'll bring a lot of space between the feet. Lots of space between the feet. Maybe circle the hips a few times. And then let's turn the right toes to the right. And the left toes can angle in a little bit as we make our way towards our warrior two. Warrior two. So the knee tracking in line with the toes. Kind of feeling my pelvic bowl here, making sure I'm not tipping too far forward, like the contents of the pelvic bowl spilling out the front of me. Kind of tilting that pelvic bowl back a little bit. And then I'm lifting my arms out equally in both directions. I could reach forward and back a few times. Find that nice, stable middle ground. Right? And then I'll flip my right hand and trace the ceiling as the back hand comes down the back leg. I'm going to keep my knee bent today in my reverse warrior. Big breath in, breath out. You got it, Leanne. Beautiful. And coming back nice and slow, warrior two. Let's take 2 breaths, warrior two. Gazing over that right hand. Good. Releasing the hands to the hips, all 10 toes towards the side of the mat, taking a hip circle or 2. And then we'll move to the other side. So toes pointing to the left. Right, so you've got that back foot at an angle. And we're bending into the left knee or whichever side you didn't do. Right, the hips stay kind of pointed to the side of the mat as I pull that belly button towards the spine. And then when you're ready, you can release the hands out. Releasing the hands out equally in both directions, turning the gaze over that left hand. We'll flip that left hand. Inhale, reverse the warrior, back it up, stretching through the side body, and then cartwheeling right back to warrior two. 2 breaths, warrior two. Pulling that belly towards the spine. Shifting the gaze over that left hand. Good, and then we'll release the hands down to the hips. All 10 toes towards the side of the mat. I'm going to shorten my stance a bit, and then I'm going to bring my toes to point out. My little Charlie Chaplin stance. And then as I bend my knees, I'm going to try to track my knees in line with my toes. It's really hard in this pose, and that's okay. I'm going to lean forward a little bit. It's okay to lean forward a little bit. And then I'm going to invite some engagement into my pelvic bowl. And then we'll bring the arms out to the sides, goddess pose. You could squeeze the feet towards each other or push the feet away from each other. You can kind of play around with the isometrics here. That's good. Let's straighten it all. Star pose, breathe in. Exhale, sink down deep. Goddess pose. Nice, guys. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, sink. One more. That's beautiful, Amy. Inhaling. Exhale, nice, strong goddess pose. And, even if you're a guy, there's a little bit of goddess in you too. Everybody has that goddess energy. Awesome, guys. Let's come back up. Turn the toes to face the side of the mat. Circle the hips a few times. And then I'm going to turn my right toes to the right and angle my left foot in a little bit more than I would in a warrior two, and have a shorter stance as I move into my triangle pose. So I'm going to slowly bring my right hand down my right thigh, like kicking out my left hip, like that sassy teenager I used to be. Maybe there's still a little bit of that in me. As I bring my left shoulder back, I might lift my left arm up. You could go lower if you can retain the shape. Right? If you're feeling like really tense in the neck, you could keep the gaze forward or down. Right? Maybe you shift the gaze up. See how that would feel. Come up a little higher, Judy B, on that leg. Come up a little higher. Good. Bring that left shoulder back. That's good. And releasing slowly back up. You've got it. You can walk it out a little bit between sides if you like. And then we'll explore the other side. And then we'll start to wind down. Okay, so left toes to the left. Angle that right foot in considerably. As I tilt my way forward over my left leg, I'm kicking out my right hip, right? The sassy teenager hip. Keeping my right shoulder back. And then as I'm ready, that's good, Judy B. Lifting that right arm up. Pulling the belly up and in. Finding my breath. The gaze is wherever feels best for your neck. Traditionally, the gaze is up towards the thumb. See if you can kind of open that left shoulder back, open the left shoulder so it's not rounding in. Good. Inhale, make your way up. Release back to center. Meet me in mountain pose. So if you're just feeling really tired and you want to come to sit, you can come to sit. I'd like to do one more balance pose today, our balance with a twist. Balance with a twist. So I'll bring my weight into my right foot with a little bendy bounce to start. I'm going to pick up my left knee and I'm going to push that knee into my hand. This might be where you want to stay, right? Just kind of exploring holding this. If you want a little more, maybe the arms rise straight up. And I'm going to take a slow twist to the left. Slow twist to the left. Use the torso. And then maybe the arms reach forward and back. Maybe I shift my gaze over that left shoulder. That's good, Judy. You can touch the ceiling, I think. Beautiful. Now I'm going to bring my hands back up and reset and switch it out. That's nice. It's a really challenging pose. Maybe that's why I love it. It's just got so much in it. So let's bring the weight in the left foot. Bendy bounce. Pick up that right knee. Press it into the hand. Maybe this is where you stay. But if you're feeling wobbly today, you don't want to put much strain on that hip. You can stay here. Maybe the arms rise up. This is another place you could stay, right? See if you can take a little bit of a twist to the right. Use the belly muscles. Use the torso muscles. Maybe the arms come down reaching in both directions. One forward and one back. Keep that knee pointed towards me, Larry. There it is. It's a little more challenging that way. And then we're going to come back. Arms rise up and reset. And everybody, please take a bow. Take a bow for me. You are a beautiful group of humans today. Thank you so much. Let's come to sit. I'm going to stagger my feet. That's nice, Cindy. You got a little ballerina in you, don't you? I'm going to stagger my legs, drop the back knee down. Balance on my knees for a moment. I might take one more little stretch. One more stretch. A little side bendy action. And then as you're ready, coming to sit, gracefully, or maybe not, see how you feel today, right? If you need to just get down there, just squeeze this block between my feet. Coming to your Dandasana pose, staff pose, squeezing the block between my feet, just kind of noticing what's happening with my chin. Am I kind of jutting my chin forward? Can I tuck that chin under, lengthening the back of my neck? And I just feel my own strength for a moment. Feel how strong you are in this moment. Breathing in 3 breaths. Relax the shoulders down away from the ears. That's good, Ted. Nice, guys. And then we'll bring some space between the feet. I'm going to come in a wide stance to the feet here. Now, if you're somebody who feels really awkward here, you are not alone, my friend. If that's you, I recommend just rolling up your mat and getting a little elevated in the hips. And even if you don't feel awkward, it might be cool to try it. Bringing an elevation to the hips in your wide-legged forward fold. So maybe you get here and you're like, okay, this is as far as I want to go. Try something with me. Lift the heels up off the earth. See if you can lift the heels up off the earth or thereabouts. Keep that level of engagement in the legs and then let the heels come back down. And maybe you can walk the fingertips forward. Right? Maybe you stay right where you are. Totally up to you. Maybe you turn the gaze down. Just kind of draw up some of that energy from the earth. Always there, this reciprocal arrangement that we have. Drawing on this groundedness, the strength. Just plugging into that for a moment. Good, and then we'll slowly walk ourselves up. Right, if you had the mat rolled up, maybe you take that out. I'm going to cross my right ankle over my left knee. I'm going to slowly bend this left leg and scoot my body forward to the degree that I feel I'm capable of. And I get here and my immediate sort of thing that my body does is get real rounded, right? So I'm going to kind of push into the hands, lift the heart. Try to keep that right foot flexed rather than pointed, drawing that toes back towards the knee. That's good, Matthew. Big breath in. You guys feel the stretch here? Yes. If you don't, you could come a little farther forward. Breathing into this. Yeah, you might bring some movement into the head and neck. Good idea, Leanne. Just kind of loosening up the head and neck. Good, and then releasing just for a moment. Bringing my hands onto my shins and allowing myself a moment to just kind of round forward. And then switching sides. So we'll cross this left ankle over the right knee. And then I'll bend my knee and scoot my body forward, keeping the foot flexed, that toe pulling back towards the knee, and my heart lifted. So I'm kind of pushing into the hands, lifting myself up. Find your breath. Maybe you bring some movement into the head and neck again. Good. And then releasing. We'll bring the soles of the feet together. Allow the knees to drift apart. Maybe this is really easy for you. Maybe it's not so easy. Wherever you are, just meeting yourself there. I know that sounds cheesy, but just
being there with yourself in this moment, taking a breath or two, right? If it's really, if the hips feel pretty open today, you might walk the fingertips forward. If the hips are feeling like really stuck, if the knees are very far up, try not to round forward. Bring the hands behind your back, Ted. Yeah, that's good. Just keep the heart lifted. That's it. It's beautiful. You got it, Leanne. Maybe one more breath there. And then we'll all meet on the back. So let's come to find our reclining version of that pose, reclining bound angle. And I love to bring my supports into the equation here. So I've got the feet together, the knees apart, and my blocks supporting on whatever level, supporting my thighs or my knees. So really highly recommend trying the blocks right underneath maybe the thighs or the knees or both. And you can find whatever level feels right for you. Maybe it's like the medium level rather than the low level. Just sliding those blocks underneath the thighs or knees with the feet pressed together. Feel the press of the soles of your feet. Rest the hands on the belly, breathing into the hands. Right, and Larry, you could continue with this bound angle pose or just an easy seat, finding the breath. Maybe you can give yourself kind of like a mental pat on the back for making the time for yourself this morning to, get yourself to the yoga mat. If you really like this and you want to stay here, you can stay here a little longer. I'm ready to come out and hug my knees in towards my chest. Hugging the knees in towards the chest. You might go ahead and just circle the knees and kind of notice the imprint that your pelvis and your sacrum make on the mat. Right? So we were hugging the knees in and circling the knees. And we will definitely get to that beautiful spinal twist in a moment. I'm going to keep my right knee hugged in and press the left leg long. The heel dropping down onto the earth. Right, Larry, if you want to do those strap stretches, this is kind of where we're headed. Today, if you're reclining, we're not going to use a strap. We're just going to use the hands, so grabbing onto the back of the thigh. You'll push that right foot up towards the ceiling and see what it would feel like to really press the lower back down into the earth, and then pointing and flexing and rolling the ankle a few times. Rolling the ankle, maybe the hands slide up a little higher onto the leg. You could stay here if you want a little more. Maybe you lift the head and the shoulders up off the earth. Kind of get those core muscles working. Try not to strain the neck, right? Just breathing. Nice loose breath. If you have the head and neck lifted, come on down, right? Set that base of the skull down. And then you're going to try crossing the midline of the body with the leg. So bringing the leg over to the left just a little bit. Breathing. Reset to center. I'm going to hug my knee in towards my chest and open the knee out to the side. Right knee over to the right, left arm reaching to the left. And I'm really engaged through my left leg. This is going to help me kind of hike my right knee up towards my shoulder. Breath in. Breath out. Good. Bringing the knee back towards center and hugging the left knee in. Pressing the right leg long as we switch sides. Really hiking that knee up towards the shoulder and then grabbing on to the back of your thigh. Pushing the foot up towards the sky. The leg doesn't have to straighten.
It might not be straight, but you could push the leg into the hands. You could roll the ankle, point and flex the foot. Yeah, you could always use your strap if you want to use a strap. That's good, Ted. And now I'll bring my hands up a little higher. And if I like, I could lift my head and my heart and my shoulders up off the earth. And I'm looking towards my big toe, using all those core muscles. Slow release back down, cross the midline of the body, bringing the leg over to the right side. Could feel like a lot. Try to keep the hip down, right? Try to keep both hips on the earth. Good. Relax back to center. Hug that left knee in and opening the knee out to the left, using that left hand as the right arm drapes over to the right side. Really push strong through the right heel. Breath in, breath out. Good. Releasing back to center. Letting go of a strap if you've used it. You could hug both knees in. You could get very small, picking up the head. See if you can touch the forehead to the knees. Not quite for me. I think it's because I have short bones. Oh, there it is. Tough. We'll bring the feet down and we'll move towards a bridge pose now. Moving towards a bridge pose or any other kind of back bend. Larry, I know you've already done some camels, but if you want to do another camel, you could do that. So for bridge pose, we've got the feet tracking in line with the knees, hip distance apart. I'm going to bring my hands into robot arms. So I've got my elbows bent, fingertips towards the sky, pushing into my upper arms to lift the heart. This is the area where you're going to really be working. So let's just lift the heart and set the heart back down a few times so you can feel this thoracic spine, the movement in the thoracic spine, the area where we have the most capability for extension or back bending. This is the area in the body where we want to do our work. Of course, other parts of the body will be working as we now push into the feet, lift the hips up off the earth. Hopefully you don't have any neck support here, so taking any neck support out. So you lift the hips up. If it's in your practice, you could interlace the fingers underneath the body. Try not to move the head from side to side, really important to keep the neck safe. Wriggle your shoulders underneath you, get a little higher, and you can feel that heart moving a little closer to the chin. Breath in, breath out, that work in the upper back. And now you could stay lifted and reach the arms up behind you, all the way towards the wall behind you, the arms on the ground. We're going to come down slowly, one vertebra at a time. See if you can really feel each vertebra as it sets down onto the earth. Slow descent. And when you come down, you can release any effort from the glute muscles. Bring the arms to the sides. Walk your feet out to the width of the mat. Larry, you could bend your knees and join us with some windshield wipers. Just knees dropping to one side and then the other. And loosening up the hip flexors with lots of space between the feet. So go ahead, Matthew, and walk the feet apart so that the feet are at the edges of the mat. That's good. And now you'll feel a little bit something different as you drop the knees to one side and the other. You can feel this like in the hip flexors and in the low back. Right, and this could be like a floppy movement, or you might like linger and really push into it, hold the knee there, push down. Up to you. Good, and then one last time, I'll hug my knees into my chest. See if I can bring a little space between my knees, and the toes and the knees can point to the sides, kind of like a happy baby, but I'm holding onto my knees. And I'm just going to rock from side to side. Massage the sacrum. And then I'll bring my knees together, my feet together, point both feet up towards the sky. Letting go. When you're ready, we'll bring the knees, bending the knees, bringing the feet down, and finding all those props that you like to use for Shavasana or seated meditation. Shavasana or seated meditation. So you might like for your Shavasana, which by the way translates as corpse pose, you might like a little support underneath the thighs, the lower thighs. This is especially useful if you have lower back issues. You might like a little something underneath the neck, support the cervical spine. You might like a layer, if you get chilly easily, you might grab a blanket or your sweatshirt. And just coming to lie or sit, beginning to release effort from your body, one body part at a time. Right, so if you're in a seated meditation, you can do this as well. You're just going to notice your hands, all the fingers on both hands, the back of the hands and the center of the palms. So just resting in your Shavasana pose a little longer, Ted, right, if you like. Letting go of effort in the arms, the shoulders. Allowing the legs and the feet to be heavy. Letting the hips sink into the earth. Allowing the breath to soften the belly. And feeling that expansiveness across the chest. Maybe you take off that layer of armor that you use to protect yourself from the world around you, and doing so quite rightly in these times. But in this moment, just letting your heart be open, be receptive. Letting go of the lower jaw, the upper jaw. And then as you're ready, beginning to come back into the breath, taking a big breath in. Slowly, ever so slowly and carefully, rolling onto one side, giving yourself a hug, staying in your cocoon a little bit longer. If you like, you can always stay in Shavasana past the time the class ends. And then I'm coming up to sit, and I'm not in any hurry to do that. Very good, guys. Really nice class today. If you want to join me for 5 B's breaths and an Om, feel free to do that. If you need to get going, I totally understand. Hand on the heart, hand on the belly. 5 B's breaths and 1 Om. Mm. 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 Mm.
With hands at heart center, joining me for one Om. And thank you so much for your practice today. Namaste. Feel free to stick around, or if you need to jet, it's a couple minutes after 11. And I hope that you will consider joining me for Yoga Nidra this weekend as well. I'll send you a link